Welcome, everybody, to the Mighty Nerd Podcast.
Oh, brought to you by black shirts. I just realized.
Oh,
Sorry, carry on. Keep going.
I mean, yeah. The most, I have like 60 black shirts, so, you know.
Yeah.
First one to do it now.
Fair enough.
Actually brought to you by not uploading for 6 weeks. If your whole life is falling apart, just don't upload.
What he said.
Exactly. We are joined with me, Solid Snarf, HeyyyyyTony, FistTruck.
Hello.
Hello. Also brought to you by COVID sucks. I'm
Yeah.
recovering. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man, you just got blasted. You went from a move to COVID to fine, and then your significant other get COVID, and it's just like back
Impending
to back.
COVID.
You just waiting for it. All right, we're doing one of the most important games to me personally. Tony, I don't want to talk for you, but I assume it is very formative.
It is a very serious game to me.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And Fist is here to keep
Balance
it
out the
balance
group.
out the group. We are talking about Legend of Dragoon. Legend of Dragoon came out in like 2000 specifically. I just had it up. I don't have it up anymore.
Yeah, June 13th, 2000 for North America.
Right. And 1999 for Japan. It's a RPG for the PlayStation. Came on 4 discs at the time, which, you know, probably can fit on a Switch cartridge at this point. Definitely.
Or Samsung fridge.
Samsung fridge. Probably can play it on a Samsung fridge. So, you know, usually with longer games, we decide to plan out like 2 weeks in advance for like, oh, we're going to take 2 weeks to play this game. Yeah, this game took longer than that just because maybe I was inconsistent. But also we did have a lot of stuff going on, so it gave us more time to do it. But yeah, I would say this game took me like 3 weeks at a leisure pace to beat. Lot of random encounters. So when you're walking through, you take 2 steps forward, and then, you know, a couple of people come out, you beat shit out of them. It's a lot of time in animations that they force you to watch. So,
Are you sure you want to get into that right now?
yeah,
Are you sure you want to do that now? Because
I'm just.
you're
Yeah. I guess we'll leave that.
Trauma alert!
Yeah.
Trigger warning! Content warning! Gore! Poop!
Yeah,
Piss!
exactly.
Ew, I'm just getting mad when he talks about this shit. That's all. I'm trying to shut my fucking mouth so he can talk about the, you know, backstory.
All right.
We can say that it was made by Sony Japan. You know, God rest their souls. Way back when it was a Sony first party exclusive JRPG. It was clearly made in it's hard to say in response because Final Fantasy was also a Sony exclusive, but I imagine it was obviously fucking heavily inspired by Final Fantasy 7, as much any JRPG could be, but when you take the timing into consideration,
if you look up online, like Google Legend of Dragoon, any video that you see on YouTube is like Legend of Dragoon, Sony's Final Fantasy killer, and it's like, I don't
why the
like,
fuck you want to kill what you get? Like,
yeah, it's like
it's literally shooting yourself.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
I don't know. I mean, they clearly they were inspired at the very least.
Yeah.
Like, I think without assuming
They were
anything.
They
Yeah.
definitely
And this is, you know, outside of assuming anything beyond that, like supposed to be a killer. I don't know if there were advertisements back then that were saying it was a Final Fantasy killer. Also would be dumb as fuck considering Final Fantasy IX came out the same year on the same platform exclusively.
I remember. Well, I bought the game just because I saw it, and I was like, "Ooh, this has 4 discs. This must be really good." And then I saw a commercial for it afterwards, and I was like, "Oh, hey, that's the game I'm playing." It was a commercial of the main character. Main character's name is Dart. He's in red armor, has kind of like yellow cloud hair. And he's fighting one of the main antagonists. And then it's like Dart cuts the antagonist's head off. And then it's like, hey, he cut my head off. Why'd you do that? And then it's like, it's like it's scripted. So it's like they're actors playing it. Kind of. And he's like, you weren't supposed to do that. I was supposed to say this line, then you were supposed to cut my head off. And I was like, oh, it was an accident. Yeah.
Something I know, I went and did some, just looking back at how the game was kind of received. When it came out, it was kind of just like, it was like average reviews were like, it was not really like critically praised or anything like that. But since then has gone like a cult following.
Yeah.
So that's like, so essentially like for those who like it, they like really like it.
And then there's everyone else. That's
and then there's me.
Yeah. So we'll leave that for after the story. So
after the story.
I'll just run through the story not real quick because it's a long fucking story. So the game starts out full CG cutscene. Place called Celis, small town, getting completely bombarded by an army. And they capture this lady who we find out is her name is Shauna, who's young best friends with the main character. So they like put a crystal on her head and it says, oh, she's the moon princess or some shit. And they capture her and they run off and they don't have normal horses. They have like anteater, they ride huge anteaters. So that plays, they capture some lady from a village, burn it down. Then it cuts to the main character, which is Dart. He's out in the forest. He's, alone and he gets attacked by this big green dragon. Who they just run off. They run away from the dragon, and then this lady in black armor comes, saves you, and says, "Hey, that village was burnt down." And then you have to go run and save the village. Too late for you to save the village. You go and you kill a bunch of people, and it's like, oh, they took Shauna. So Shauna is the lady that they took, who is your childhood best friend, and you have to go and save Shauna. And you pretty much, there's like an in-between area, a forest that you have to run through. And all these places are, I think they're like full, what do you call it? Pretty they look like, they don't look like digital art. They look like painted, right?
Yeah, I forgot the
Well, I would have to say
but...
for a PlayStation game, it looked really it looked good for the time.
I would say this dude was memeing on their faces.
I'll get to it. So you had the digital characters, but the backgrounds were like I think they did the same thing as Resident Evil.
Resident Evil.
Where it's just it's a flat image, but the movement around it is So they save space and it looks really, really nice. Everything looks really, really nice, except for the people. We all played the PlayStation 5 version, right?
Yeah.
All right. Here's one takeaway from the models. Between the original version and the PlayStation 5 version. The PlayStation 5 version has like upscaling. And
And they
like,
tried to upscale a PlayStation game, and
yeah,
it looks
it
rough.
looks
It looks like
real
if you
bad.
took their faces and just like pulled them back.
Like throughout the, I didn't send them to you, Tony, but I was sending them to my other friend. Just every time I saw like a stupid expression on a character, I took a picture. I have like a whole album,
A collection.
Damn.
collection. And it does not hold up to being upscaled. Which I looked at like older videos from like guys that actually played off of the original hardware. It still has the artifacting, like, you know, the every time to simulate the movement, it kind of like moves a pixel over. It still has that, and like artifacting where you can see through the character where his model is cut through. But it's way less egregious just because it's on a smaller resolution and not crisp at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that's real rough. So you go through the forest area, and then eventually you go to the prison, which is Hell in a Prison. Hell in a Prison. Yeah, Hell Enna.
Helena.
Yeah. Like the song. You sneak into the prison. You find your new best friend. His name's Lavitz. He's a soldier for one of the
Okay, so how do you
isn't it?
pronounce his name? Lavitz or Levitz?
There's a Lavitz. That's
Lavitz?
how I read it. Yeah.
I don't
I've always
know.
pronounced Levitz.
Levitz. I'll say Lavitz.
Lavitz works. Yeah, Lavitz works.
So he's a prisoner in there. His group got captured, and he's breaking out. He holds a spear. You got a sword, and together you're like, oh, let's team up. It's easier for both of us to break out of here than just a single person. So he joins your crew, and you go save Shauna, who's also imprisoned here, and then the warden, who's, I forget his name. Just call him Warden. Frugal.
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 Good. Frugal, who's like this big monster dude. He's quite the asshole. You can tell in like little cutscenes where he's just beating up his own men. So he comes forward, tries to stop you, beat the shit out of him, but you don't kill him because he's invincible, at least for now. And then y'all start running away from the prison. Shauna joins. Lavitz, spear dude, you're the sword dude, and Shauna has the bow. Bow sucks. Bow completely sucks. But where she excels is like doing magic, using magic items. She like does more damage with magic items than anyone else. So if you're going for that, then she's really important. You go through another forest or a plains area, and you're running away, and you have to like break down this tree. Causes a bridge in the river. You run through, and you have to go through this tunnel, and then that's where you find like this big boss, this big centipede boss, which you kill, but you don't end up killing. He ends up attacking you in the cutscene. But then Shauna, like, a light emits from her and explodes the shit out of this thing. And it's like, oh, you have some latent power or some shit. And then eventually you get to Lavitz's city, where they tell you, oh, Ceridian? I forget the name of it. Whatever the opposing country is attacking
Their
capital?
country.
Their country. Indelis? I forget the name of the country.
I don't remember the names though. I can't get to
If you're talking about Indel's castle, that's Emperor Duel. Emperor
Indels.
Duel. Yeah, Emperor Duel is the one that is attacking. Can't speak today. Attacking one of the towns called Hoax.
Right,
I
right,
think
right.
that yeah.
So once you
And it was you guys' job to go to the castle to confront Duel.
yeah. Well, that's at the end of disc 1.
That's a
So
few steps ahead. I
yeah.
think like you're talking about
Yeah.
when you meet the king tells you about
Yeah.
the town that's
Yeah.
being attacked, that kind of shit.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the next CG cutscene that plays. You meet the King Albert, and his his right hand man is like gives you history of what's called the Dragon campaign, which happened like 11,000 years ago. So the Dragon campaign, there was this race of they're called Winglies because they have wings that enslaved all of humans.
And they leave.
Yeah. That enslaved all of humanity, and humanity rose up. There was this guy called Emperor Diaz who controlled dragons and led the dragons against the Winglies and beat the shit out of them and won. And that's like this whole CG cutscene that comes up. It's like it goes from, again, there's like no voiceover up until now, so it's kind of jarring because this big epic music plays after whatever music is playing in the background.
The easiest way to describe is that it's very much a product of its time.
Hell yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So the king recruits you to fight in the war because if they get taken over, then this King Dole guy is pretty mean, and he's using a dragon to fight the war. So you don't want dragons to come attacking villages. So he sends you off to Hoax, which is like it's a town that's become like a
It's the middle ground between Sandora and the town that Albert is from. Not Celis.
Sellers? No.
No.
Lohan?
Celis is where Dart and No, Lohan is the
Indels.
I believe is Indes, but it's Lohan is the merchant city.
Okay. So, surprise, at night, the fort gets attacked. And it's just you and Lavitch. Shauna is like in somewhere, in safety.
Basil. Or
Basil.
depending on
Basil.
what
Basil or Basil, yeah. That's the town Albert is in charge of.
Okay.
Sprint.
Cool. And you just go through this gauntlet of fights, which I don't think I lost any of those fights, but it's just like one right after another. And then you fight this big giant called Kongal, dude with an axe and a mohawk. He'll become more important later, but you don't kill him. And then
Sorry,
right.
and you can cut this out. Are we going through the whole story bit by bit?
It's gonna take a fucking while.
Yeah.
If that's the case.
I mean, if you want to jump in and talk about anything in particular too.
Oh shit.
I think we could abridge some
We could abridge. I
Not
can
every
abridge
detail is important.
I can abridge
say.
a lot of it solid for you if you need me to.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, so where did you end off with Kongal, right?
Kongal.
Okay, so Sandora, among the attacking Sandora is a giganto named Kongal. Kongal is basically the last survivor of a giant race known as the Gigantos. Your main character Dart is about to die to Kongal when he's saved by Rose, the character that Solid talked about at the very beginning that saved him from the dragon. Now she's saving his ass again. But in this part of the fight, when she saves him, she activates his Dragoon spirit. This is where he finally becomes like I think it was Red-Eyed Dragon. So it changes his armor, and you get all these magical abilities and everything. And this is where the battle system for the game also changes as well. The battle system changes because now you have a transform inside your battle, like your battle bar or whatnot. We can go out of the battle bar later.
Yeah.
We talk about the gameplay after.
Yeah, we're talking about the gameplay after. But basically, after the fort is saved, you travel to the next city of Lohan. By the way, Dart never killed the Giganto. Let's set that precipice because you know, man, he's not dead. Afterwards, in the city of Lohan, they meet Lloyd. Dart competes in this
Coliseum.
strongest
Tournament.
warrior. Yeah, I would say
Tournament.
strongest
It's a
warrior tournament. Yeah, and then he gets to meet Lloyd. Lloyd is one of another antagonist of the game. He's supposed to be the greatest swordsman in the world. Later, they figure out that he kidnapped Albert and took the moon gem from him. In the sense of him taking the moon gem from him, the moon gem is this artifact that is held by the royal family. Lloyd runs away with the moon gem, and they discover that Lloyd is actually collecting other artifacts or moon items to release I believe it's the Moon Chow, right?
So he's collecting the items so he could raise the divine dragon and steal his powers.
Right.
Ultimately.
So Lloyd, he's trying to get 3 of these artifacts. It's the Moon Dagger, the Moon Gem, and the Moon Mirror, I believe. And in obtaining these artifacts, he basically he wants to kill the divine dragon, which is a dragon that's imprisoned in a volcano. He wants to get and kill the divine dragon so he can get the divine dragon's spirit, so he can morph into
The divine dragoon thing.
The divine dragoon, just like what Dart and the rest of them are actually morphing into, but his is going to be more powerful, etc.
Yeah.
They finally managed to beat Lloyd. After beating Lloyd, Lloyd agrees to. I'm skipping.
Okay.
After they managed to beat Lloyd, Lloyd finally tells them that he's going to take them to Emperor Diaz. When he takes them to Emperor Diaz, comes to find out, Emperor Diaz is. Shocker, he's Dart's father. You know what I mean? It's like one of those Luke versus fucking Vader moments when he's just like, but I am your dad. So, he takes off the helmet, shows his face, comes to find out he's Dart's dad. He's also Rose's lover from back during the Dragon campaign. 11,000 years ago during the Dragon campaign. So because of that, now it's almost like, okay, so, like, Rose knows his father, and he knows his father as dad. You know what I'm saying? She knows him as my boo. So, during this whole exposition of them talking, Dart, Emperor Diaz / father, whatever, you see one of the best fucking cutscenes in the game that shows you the fight between the Dragoons, the Winglies, the Virages, and everything else. By the way, probably skipped over a little bit of this, but the Virages are basically Winglie I would say machines or beasts that were used to fight the dragons and dragoons during the Dragon campaign.
Well, actually, so more story. There's this big tree of life. The whole order of a circle of the world is the gods make this big tree. There's 158 I don't know the exact number, 158 species that form as on eggs on the trees. They fall to the earth and they become that race. So humans were like 150, Winglies were 152, dragons were 153, Verges were 154, and the last one, 155, is a spirit that needs to take over a host, which is a human child, and will destroy all the species and reset the tree. So that's Shauna.
Right.
The
it
last
was 108 fruits.
108. So the 108th one is
108th one is the Fire Age embryo.
Yeah, yes. Is the spirit of that has inhabited Shauna, and when it comes to fruition, Shauna will turn into this big monster that'll clear out the entire world, and reset the whole thing, circle of life thing. And the reason why it hasn't happened is because every 100 years or so,
I believe it's every 100 years. Rose, our black woman in armor, has been using a choker to stop her time in order to go back and go through life and just killed every version of every Moonchild that has come up. So she's almost like that person in history that just saves the day. Imagine if there was one person in history that just went out throughout history from Hitler all the way until now, just killing bad guys.
Oh man!
So that is basically her purpose. She has stopped her own time. This is why she's been alive for 11,000 years, in order to keep the Moonchild from ever being born.
So the whole premise of like Dart's family was killed by that's called the Black Monster, which we find out is Rose. Because when he was young, she attacked the village because the Moonchild was suspected to be there. Then we find out, so Rose was there, Dart was there, Dart's father was there. When Rose attacked the village looking for the Moonchild, it was the first time that Dart's father activated the Red Dragoon again.
Since the Dragon campaign.
And what had happened was he wasn't able to transform. There was the main antagonist of the Dragon campaign, which was a wingly called
Malibu Framha.
Malibu Framha. Yeah, Framha.
Framha.
As he was dying, he put his soul into the red dragoon orb, and the next time it was activated, he possessed the person who activated the red dragoon, which 11,000 years later was Dart's father. So that's why Dart's father wasn't able to transform. He was taken over, and Emperor Diaz, quote unquote, came back. So Dart's father is not his father. It's the main antagonist of the Dragon campaign way back when. And we find that out later once, ultimately the bad guy's plan completely wins, right? He gathers all the things. You have to go to these places to break the seals so he doesn't become a god. He becomes a god, and then Dart's father gets knocked out, and he's like, haha, it was me this whole time. And then you kill God at the end, right?
That's a JRPG. That sounds like a JRPG.
That is legit.
That was a very long way to say it's a JRPG. Carry on. Sorry, I'll stop talking shit.
So was that you did the whole spiel, the end and everything. We killed God and everything. We're gonna go to...
No. Keep going. I mean, there's more you want to add. We forgot the Dole Banana, and by that I mean what I know is until the end of disc 1, where you're first fighting the whatever I already forgot the name
Dole?
of the place, but. Yeah, well, no, I know Dole, but the kingdom or whatever. City.
It's called the Black Castle.
Sandora, right? That's what
Sandora. Yeah.
There's that part where you go to fight them and you kill that guy, and that's when Lavitz catches the big L.
Yeah, you find out Lloyd is you find out that Lloyd is the dude. Lavitz goes and fucking thrusts at him to save his king. And then he has the MacGuffin, the only MacGuffin that can truly kill a dragoon.
MacGuffin is funny.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what it is, right?
That is what it is.
And he kills the shit out of Lavitz, who was, at the time I was very attached to because Lavitz was fucking cool and he was nice and he was brave and he was pretty much, fucking character number 2 next to Dart. So when he died, I was like, no.
They got you real close to that character too. They let you go through
they waited a
good
bit
of that game.
Yeah, they waited
before
a bit.
They killed him. But you get the next best thing, don't you, Sally? You get Albert. Now hold on. I will say. Hold on. Now I will say.
Same.
Albert and Lavitz, their combat is different.
It is
immensely. And the reason I say that is if you play with Lavitz at the very beginning, his moves are slow compared to Albert. And he hits harder. Albert is, bro, if you don't, we'll get into the combat afterwards. But
Are they not the same character?
They basically are the same character.
Yeah, when you get Albert is
uses a
when
spear.
they give you Albert's like the same shit. It's just that you get, like you could do harpoon or whatever.
Yeah,
with
but his
fucking
harpoon
Albert.
is different.
With Albert.
But his harpoon is
different.
slower. His slower too.
Okay.
Albert, when I first
Now
started playing with him,
use.
it just came out of his attacks are just so fast. It started to keep up with the additions sometimes.
He's super fast
compared to
and doesn't hit
Lavitz.
as hard as Lavitz. He still is one of the hitting hardest characters in the game once you level him up.
Yeah.
Once you level him up with all his additions.
Yeah.
But we went over a lot of the actual story. We left sections out. There was a lot of little side quests and sections throughout this JRPG that you will enjoy. But the problem is, if we sat here and actually explained everything, we'd be here forever.
Yeah, this is definitely a character-focused game. So everybody has their own sob story.
Yeah, it's a JRPG.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a JRPG.
So without getting into all of that, I'd have to say going throughout the whole game, well, we already touched on you beating God at the very end. Once you beat God, hooray, it's over. Everybody lives happily ever after, collapse all around.
But he's not him, ultimately.
Right. So, but combat. Let's touch on the combat.
Oh, you guys want to talk about gameplay? Because I'll start talking.
Yeah.
I'll start fucking talking, bro.
Let's go. I'm gonna let Fist
start
go
talking.
first.
Well, do you want to
Trash.
talk about game? Okay.
Sorry, I know. I was already said it. Trash.
Okay.
I'm talking about it. No,
Okay. So how did you feel about the addition system?
All
you
right.
didn't like the addition system?
Well, first, if you play on the PS5, and I don't know if this is how it was on the original one, and none of us have gone back to play on original hardware. So we don't know. We cannot confirm this.
I've definitely played emulator since like maybe 8 years ago. Definitely played on emulator.
Yeah, I played emulator
And
4
it
years
was-
ago.
it was
before
fine.
that.
Original hard. Okay, all right.
Okay.
I believe you. So they're playing on the PS5, and once again, I will just say from my own thing, and we haven't done a scientific A/B testing. Trying to play this timed combat system on the fucking whatever remastered upscaled piece of shit that they got on the PS5 is fucking like putting shit up your ass. It is fucking it is awful, man. Fuck. I hate it.
There is there is a noticeable
There's
delay.
input lag. There's input lag. There is input lag.
Oh, that's why you hated it. That's not fair.
Oh no. I imagine this working properly would just give me one less thing to bitch about. That's a very big thing to bitch about. I will say. Okay. First, I will just open up with I didn't beat the game. I played 14 hours of the game.
Which is enough to have
That's
a
And
full...
I had
no.
my, and I was like, I'm fucking done. If I play this much of the game and it's still the same shit that I'm going, like, there's so many things about it. And Snarf touched on it very, very briefly, early on in the episode. And it's the time. JRPGs are long. I played a lot of them earlier this year. Granted, I have a soft spot for it, but I still think Final Fantasy X is objectively a great game that stands the test of time. I played it for like 80 to 100 hours recently, just grinding to do extra bullshit. I get JRPGs take time. I understand that. I just want to get that point very, very, very clear before I say that this game wastes your fucking time. Every animation in combat takes fucking forever. I get that Yakuza Like a Dragon, right? I played Like a Dragon recently. That game came out 20 years after this one, all right? I understand. I get it. But also, Super Mario RPG came out like 5 years before this one or something. So there are games that were doing this timed hit thing. And also Paper Mario, I think, came out before this too, if I'm not mistaken. What I was saying is that there were games that did this timed hit thing in combat that didn't waste this much fucking time. Like, why I'm just going to use Like a Dragon as an example. I know
you know what the best game that you can use for an example? Lost Odyssey.
Lost Odyssey.
Let's
My
use
man.
that. Yes,
My man.
we can use that.
The thing with all these games I listed, and granted they do make a difference, and Paper Mario definitely makes a difference. I know, and same for Super Mario RPG. But the thing is that like the timed hits are you kicking ass. They're not you. If you fuck up the timed hit, you're like, damn, I didn't do as much damage. In this game, if you fuck up the timed hit, you're like, damn, I didn't do damage. And the thing is that when the fucking thing has input lag,
Oh shit.
it's ass. And then when you have fucking Prince Albert or whatever, got that fucking, or King Albert, sorry, the thing about the fucking in a can thing, who has like 6-hit combos, it's like great to the fucking, in the trash you go. I'm gonna get fucking Heschel or whatever his name is, who just
Double
does
punch.
2 hits. It says flurry of sticks, and then on the screen
Fury
it
of
says
sticks.
fairy of sticks.
Oh, it does.
It does.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
Which that I'm convinced this game was a victim of a not great translation.
Yeah.
probably.
There's a
convinced.
whole bunch of shit like additions. Like what is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, or when you go into the item menu, it says use it. Like, I understand what you're trying to say, but I feel like you meant to say it in a different way.
Yeah.
Right? Just saying.
enough.
Or armed when you equip shit. And it's like, do you want to arm this character? It's like, all right, fucking give me my 9mm and let's go on the fucking, let's be on our way. But anyway, going back to the thing, wasting time. This shit wastes so much fucking time. Every time you get into combat, I wanted to scream. I wanted to scream.
Okay.
And every time combat starts, camera pans around.
I'm not gonna flex. I get where he's coming. Now that he's saying it out loud, I do remember like playing and just being like, "Fuck!" I ran into another enemy, and then it's.
Yeah.
And then it scream hands, and then something to run at you real slow and whack.
Yeah.
You're like,
and that's not even
taking fucking forever. I get it.
You know what's funny is that your description is still inaccurate because you said they run at you and go whap. You think that's it? That's not it. No, they whap and then they back up and then the camera pans back from your character as fucking explosions start beneath your character. Pillars of fire rise from the ground, and I just got hit by a basic fucking dog. Like, that's. Why does the dog have the move that takes the hellhounds, the fire dogs?
Yeah.
And
I know what you're talking about.
they do the fireball move. They go, little ball of fire hits you, and then what I just described.
You just catch on fire.
Every time it got to a point where you had to I had to strategize not to optimize that move did a lot of damage, which was a problem in itself. But the damage is kind of whatever. It was the time. I had to make sure I strategized that I would just have my dudes block. I would leave the dog for last, and I would start blocking. Once the dog took its turn, then I'm like, okay, cool. I know the dog is at least not going to go for 2 turns. I hope.
You hope.
Hope, which
You
is
hope.
another problem I'm not touching on this second. Then I would just like, okay, we got to bum rush a dog because the dog does a fireball when I assume it's like at its half health range or below. So the idea is to burn the dog down before it gets a chance to fucking waste my life. Like, that's a problem. That drove me nuts. So yeah, you have the slow pan around, and just to make sure, because I have a very big soft spot for Final Fantasy IX. And I think Final Fantasy VII is a very good game. I don't really suck its dick that much, but like it's cool. But 9 is primo shit.
Yeah.
I played 9 just to see if it also did that slow pan around the room bullshit. It does do a pan around the room in like a quarter of the time. And like even then I still argue if it's a boss fight you could do that shit. If it's not, just shut up. Just shut up. Like fuck. Bro, it drove me nuts. He was Snarf as my witness.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
for
not
the,
gonna flex. I get where you're coming from. Now that you say it out loud, like when you get into a boss fight and the screen just kind of pixelates.
Yeah.
And then it's the pan around and the music.
It's just like, we're getting started. Yo, this is it.
Bruh,
Getting hyped up.
And it's like,
Not for every enemy fight.
that type of problem was like solved in Super Nintendo type RPGs where it's like
it was
the enemies
solved in
just come
Nintendo. It wasn't a problem in the first place.
I guess
I'm sure in Final Fantasy 1 you start a fight and the enemies are there.
The idea is, this is like the pinnacle, the pinnacle of where they are with technology, so they're going to show it off. They're going to make it cinematic.
Yeah, it's the ye olden version of fucking I don't know, like skinning animals in Red Dead. It's like when someone has such a gigantic, or a developer has such a fucking gigantic stick up their ass, or just they're like huffing their own farts and be like, yes, I believe you got to see everything that I made in this game. And I know that the game on Google says it'll take 48 hours to beat. Well, it turns out that 20 of those hours is just you waiting to fucking take your turn. And it's like, that drove me fucking nuts. And then what my, like I said, the time, like even your attack animations, they had like, do we really need fucking, as far as I saw, 6 to 7 hit combo attacks? I don't think so. Personally, when they take that fucking long, and if you mess it up once, if you don't make it to the end of that 6-7 hit attack chain, it's garbage. And then you go into the PlayStation thing and time warp, go back in time to get it right the next time, because it's a wasted turn. You're like, I'm not gonna let you waste my turn like
then
this.
What makes it even worse is they put the counter in there to fuck with you. You got to counter with the circle buttons.
Yeah, like, yo, you're gonna cheat me, I'm gonna cheat you. Now, granted, I didn't do that.
I did that.
But Snarf did, because he fucking had a brain. So,
no, it's just like again. So once with lag between the inputs, you can account for it because you just hit it earlier. But it's also not consistent with how much lag there is. If I start the game up, it's perfect. And then as the game goes on, it starts lagging a bit, and then it goes back to perfect. And then I start a game on a different day, and there's a huge amount of lag. And it's like, as far as I'm concerned, I feel justified in hitting the rewind button, because the presentation of the game on the PS5 is literally fucking me. So fuck you.
I'm trying to think, because I know I probably missed some other shit when I'm thinking. I know
the turn order. We can talk about the turn order.
The turn order is fucked. But just talk about my breaking point, because I'm talking about how long animations are. And in disc 1, you fight the Dole Banana, Emperor Dole.
Yep.
Holy fucking shit! I wanted to. How
hard was that fight for you?
It was the hardest fight up until that point. I told Snarf that when I was playing the game, it felt, at least for all of disc 1, that was like Baby Simulator to me. It was like, okay, you play the game and I just attack, and once they hit me, I'm just like, all right, well, I'm just gonna block until you can. And I understand eventually they had a point where they can do more damage.
I would say between disc 1 and 2, there's majority of the fights are, you hit your combos and you're good. But like there are some fights, I can only think of 2 fights on disc 1 and 2, the doll fight and the
monster in the cave.
Okay, 3. The monster in the cave and the Wingley fight, the pirate Wingley. Where you have to like strategize elements and items and shit beforehand.
That was not disc 1.
That's
disc
not
2,
this one.
I said between disc 1 and 2.
Okay.
Because disc 3, that's when fights you gotta strategize items and all that.
So here's the thing, not even just strategizing items, but if Fist was already having issues with the input lag and the additions and he didn't really like them, I could see why the Dole fight or duel, whatever you want to call them.
Oh, Dole was not. Fucking
I'm not saying he
was not the problem.
Yeah, the problem with Dole.
No,
he has this one attack that he spams. That takes a full minute to do.
I went to. He did it for like the third time in a row. I went to piss. I got up and I was just like, the fight lasted 30 minutes. It lasted like 30 minutes. I go, bro, the problem I had, and this is the thing with like some JRPGs in general, but like, and there are other things about this I want to talk about, but when I feel like I've already won. You know, what's like the wrap it up box shit, right? For Chappelle Show, like that. like wrap this shit up. We're done. That fight, halfway into it, I'm like, I think because also there's another, oh fuck, I'm going in circles, but like there's another thing that I don't get with the AI, where sometimes it seems like they have like I don't know if I want to call it different phases. Like there are some points where you hit a trigger on their health where they're gonna do some move.
Yeah,
and
no, that's fact. That's true. 100%.
Very frequently, that move is weaker than the one they did before that point.
When they hit a threshold, they unlock different abilities or they stop using different abilities.
Yeah,
right.
Like I remember specifically the monster in the cave that did, or like when you fall down the trap, when you go back to the prison. And you've run to that monster, and all it did was just spam the AoE move, the move that hit everybody for a shit ton of damage. Just kept going, boom, hit everybody, boom, hit everybody, boom,
the monster
hit everybody.
In the cave. You're talking about when you went back. You're talking about
to the prison. You go back to the prison.
The dog.
The big
Fluffy.
dog.
Fluffy.
Was that it?
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah, Fluffy.
It spams a move that hits everybody. Spams move that hits everybody. You get down to its halfway point, it's just like, all right, now here's a really long animation. I'm gonna snuff someone, and it does half the damage to one person, half the amount of damage that the AoE does to all three people. So if it did 100 damage to everybody, this punch to one person does 50 damage. And it's just like, hell yeah, I've unlocked your phase 2 where you just gave up fighting. Like but anyway, the part that broke me in the game, and I played like probably an hour or two into disc 2, but the part that broke me was that Dole fight where he kept spamming that move that took a fucking minute to do, and it was, I'm like, bro, I can't.
Was it the move where he puts one of his swords in the ground, runs at you, and then slashes everybody, and then goes
like
up
lightning and
lightning and all this other shit. Yeah.
And it's like, bro, okay. I also have other. I think the combat objectively is just not good personally, even if it worked, because like you do literally nothing but just like, I don't feel like I'm strategizing much.
So I will say this. It is a basic combat system in a sense. The thing that made it stand out for me was throughout every other JRPG at the time. And see, it's kind of unfortunate if you've already experienced so many things that have improved upon the bad shit back in the day. Because for me, when I played Final Fantasy and all these other games before I played that Legend of Dragoon game, the big thing for me was additions. I actually like that combat system for me. Granted, everything else, like you said, is basic. Like you got attack, you got item, you got defend, and then you got transform.
Stop at the word attack. Just stop at the word attack.
But to be fair, when you transform, you have attack and magic. And again, I know some people really fucking hated the attack on the Dragoon.
The Dragoon attack is
it's impossible. On the PS5 it's impossible.
So on the PS5 is impossible, but if you played it beforehand, I had to learn when beep 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 beep, you know, and then I didn't even know until one of my friends like legit showed me. He was like, bro, you're missing a beep. I said, get the fuck out of here. This is 5. He was like, yeah, this 5. So if you get it perfect, you get to do this, whatever the element of that actual character is at the end with the attack and everything else. But I agree with you. The very first time I played this game and I got to that Dole fight, I was pissed. I was like, man, this is some fucking bullshit.
Imagine dying. Imagine dying in that fight. I would not have made it past him if he killed me. I would, no fucking way I would do that again.
This is where, you know what I mean, I had to learn, just like with Final Fantasy 10. You gotta farm a little bit. In Final Fantasy X, for me, I had to farm. That was me.
Oh,
I had to farm.
If you farmed in this game, that means you literally spent like fucking 10
spent a little-
hours
All right,
before one boss.
So
Not-
farming XP in this game is not recommended.
Not worth it. But the additions where you get like and this is the thing.
Oh, okay.
As you go on with the additions, right? The additions get stronger as you do the addition more times.
Right.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that bit of it. I think that it should have been different. But if you, as let's say Volcano, Madness Hero, Burning Rush was Burning Rush. Once you get to a certain point in Burning Rush, it goes from 100 damage to like 250. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the reason I noticed after I played the game the third time, not the second, because I still didn't notice. The third time, I just kept fucking upgrading until like I got their additions like
maxed. Yeah.
keep playing, max it. And once you max out the additions, you do so much more damage to the point where the Dole fight was short as fuck. Like I ran in there and slapped him up within maybe 10 minutes. And the only reason I say that is it's the additions. But you wouldn't know that just jumping right into it at the very beginning because they don't tell you nothing.
Yeah, also
like
how much
that
time
there's
would
time,
you be
yes.
spending
I agree.
to do that?
So
I
I understand yours was like 30 minutes, but like if I had gotten to Dole before you, it would have taken a long ass time. But like as soon as you said all that, it like rushed back memories. Like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that shit. So I just spammed him with item magic, and he was like dead in 3 turns.
Or you can do that too.
Yeah.
There's way. Now when you say strategies, the only time I had to be strategic in this game was probably 3 fights. 3, and that would be Fluffy, putting him to sleep with the little thing,
aroma,
the aroma, something like that. One other time with the divine dragon, fighting him,
definitely.
and then one more time fighting Mappy when he can't combat you. You got to put on a certain talisman so he can't just outright kill you out the game. Like little shit like that, I get. You know what I mean? And again. False is a whole nother.
Yeah,
I refuse to ever fight. We'll touch on that. But I get where Fist is coming from, especially when you have games like the newest Final Fantasy remake, Final Fantasy X. You got games like Lost Odyssey, and I agree with you. That's why I brought up Lost Odyssey, because I was like, yo, Lost Odyssey. That's probably why I love that game so much, because it reminded me of Legend of Dragoon I like games that have a different battle system. Especially if it's an RPG, I like to feel like I'm actually doing something instead of just being like, oh yeah, let me press Sword Buster, and then I just see an animation. I rather, be the one actually doing the thing to make. I like those type of games. But I felt like Lost Odyssey with the ring system was really dope, but they didn't do what Legend of Dragoon did. Legend of Dragoon, like you said, a battle start to take fucking like damn near a minute and a half to 2 minutes for the battle to. As soon as you run into it's not time based. Well, it is. It's time based, but it's also distance based of when you're running.
Step based.
Yeah, step based. Where you're running and then an enemy just pops up out of nowhere. It's almost like running through the fucking tall grass in Pokemon.
Yeah.
And then
there's always tall grass.
Even Pokemon does it faster. Now that I think about it, bro, that's crazy. Pokemon does it faster in getting into the fight than Legend of Dragoon.
Again, because it's like for the time they made these big animations, these big for the time again.
They were
camera
stroking
work.
themselves off.
It's like,
man.
this is
I'm
art.
not gonna
People
flex.
want to watch this.
I'm not gonna flex though. I'm not gonna flex. How did you feel about transforming with the different Dragoons when you first saw it?
Whoa.
I turned it down.
Fucking hated it,
You
man.
can do fast transformation.
I turned it off, and then I casted a spell and wanted to fucking kill myself, yo. That was Jesus Christ. And the thing is that what's her face? Rose has a one spell that heals everybody. That fucks up an enemy and heals everyone, and it also takes fucking a minute or two to go off. It's like, get over yourself, yo. Just fucking do the spell. Shit. I have zero. This is why I'm going back to, like, I have zero problems with a JRPG taking 40 to 50 hours. I've, like, Tales of Vesperia, granted, that's an action type shit. I get it. I played that. Like I said, I played Final Fantasy X, I played 9, I played fucking, I don't know, like I played, I can't even think.
You played the ass of.
Even just talking about long games, Yakuza, played that. Yakuza 0 took me like 80 hours to beat. Witcher 3 took me like just under 80, and then 130 with the DLC. Like, I have zero problems with a game that takes a long time to beat. I have huge fucking problems with a game that wastes my fucking time. That's why I can't even get past the first like 3 hours of Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
That's
Fair
like,
enough. Fair enough.
holy shit! Like that shit, it drove me nuts, and so I didn't want to transform into a Dragoon unless I felt like I needed to. That's why I would just sit on a full meter, just so I wouldn't have to sit through their animations.
And the game does not do, for the time period that it was in, it did not do a good job of explaining things, like such as, okay, the more you actually use the additions and just keep playing, your Dragoon SP meter goes up. They did not explain that. They did not also explain, hey, you have to figure it out. The whole guarding system, for instance, right? You get more health as you guard, blah, blah, blah. Certain things are not guarded against. Certain characters are more susceptible to magic, while certain characters are more susceptible to being beaten physically.
And everybody has different elements, too. So.
And everybody have different elements. So Shanna, for instance, if somebody comes up and punches her, she takes ass loads of damage. But if somebody uses magic on her, nothing happens. Well, nothing happens, but she doesn't take much damage. So it's just like they don't explain these things. They expect you to kind of figure it out for yourself. And at that time period, during what was going on, I didn't really realize a lot of shit until, well, I was young too, but I didn't really realize a lot of shit until like my third or fourth playthrough, where I'm just sitting there doing shit or playing with different characters. I agree it is long-winded. I agree maybe I'm speaking from a nostalgia standpoint, but I've played other RPGs as well, JRPGs, not RPGs, JRPGs as well. This game just has a certain flair to it that I enjoyed. Even I can go back and play it today and still enjoy it. Fuck that input lag noise. I would rather play it somewhere else than PlayStation if they doing all that bullshit.
I'll tell you, I really enjoyed my playthrough. I did. Like, I was happy to go back. But playing it the age I am now, the way I played it,
it's not the same.
I'm not interested in playing it ever again. And again, Legend of Dragoon, for me personally, top 5 games of all time, formative, right? I'll talk about it nonstop. But, you know, reality has to hit at some point. And it's like, I can't see myself playing it again. Like, going through the whole thing again. It's a
long game. It is. It's like a game that I picked up maybe every 7 to 8 years and played again.
It's everything the Fist said also.
Like, I'm gonna have to, this is gonna be a prop going forward if we ever play a game that's from my childhood, but I'm gonna have to play this card on Tony. The nostalgia card. That's nostalgia speaking. I don't give a fuck what you say. It's nostalgia speaking.
It's nostalgia. It could be. It could be. Yeah. It could be.
Like I said, you had games that came out before it. Final Fantasy 7 came out before it. Final Fantasy 8 sucks. Chrono Trigger, I haven't played it, but I saw Snarf play it recently.
Chrono Trigger is great. I played Chrono Trigger this year or last year. It's phenomenal. Like
Super Mario RPG.
Yeah, I can recommend Super Mario RPG. I can recommend Chrono Trigger. I can recommend Pokemon
Red and Blue.
Yeah, and it's like top 5 games of all time. Me personally, formative years. Legend of Dragoon. I still can't look somebody in the eye and be like, you got to play this game. You're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, like that. And then the thing is that I'm trying to build the additions on the PS5 where there's input lag. It's like I just spammed Burning Rush because it was like 2 hits or some shit. Like that same punchy guy Rose, they're all 2-hit combos or something. Then the other thing, like for me personally, is that and I become slightly more jaded with this over the years, kinda. And I think bringing up Lost Odyssey is a good something to kind of like counter this with, is that also the story, aside from this game, like I said before, I'm pretty sure was subject to a rushed or bad translation. Like there's this one, I kept bringing up this one exchange that I found absolutely fucking hilarious. And like, if this was, and sorry, I'm gonna have to like preface this warning. This game is a product of its time. Okay. So I'm just, before I say what I'm about to say. So the first thing is, you guys get out of the prison. It's a Dart, Shanna, and Lavitz escaping. Lavitz catches an arrow to the leg. They find a shack to kind of chill in for a little bit, to hide away before, so things could blow over. He goes to the shack. Shanna heals him or patches him up, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta go and warn the king." And Shanna's like, "Oh, you can't go. You can't run out there yet. You just fucking like got shot, bro." Like, cool. And then he just goes, he puts his hand on her shoulder, and he's like, "You're gonna make a great wife one day." And she just goes, "Thanks." And then Dart's like, "Let's go." And that's it. Like, what kind of fucking conversation is that? Like, she literally just, "You're gonna make a great wife one day." Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. It made her completely forget about it. It's just like, "Oh, hey, here's a cookie. Shut the fuck up."
Oh god.
So then you get to the kingdom, and they proceed to just bash Shanna in the head with big get in the kitchen energy. Cause it's like, they get home, and then it's just like, "Hey, Shanna, you're home. Help me cook." It's just like, yeah, all right, cool, go. And then, like, I swear, I think they did it like again, like 10 minutes later or some shit. If I was
non-stop, it'll happen.
Was that? Yeah, and it's just like, and so like Shanna, me playing the game and seeing how the story is kind of playing out. I did not predict plot twists. I'm not a big plot twist predictor, just to be clear, and I did not predict the twist that you said, so I'm not going to say that.
Right.
But when I was playing, I'm like, this is a JR, like the plot is JR. This is one JRPG ass JRPG in terms of the story. So when I'm listening to the story, but the problem is that they're speaking in like kind of like proto English. Where sometimes the translation is pretty rough, and I'm like, what the fuck did he just say? Like, randomly they'll say the dumbest shit ever, and then the guy they were at a doctor, and doctor's like, "I think they're injured. We must stanch the bleeding." And I'm like, the fuck? Yo, verily forsooth? Hold on, I gotta look up what the fuck that means real quick. Context clues, gotta figure out what it means, but still I looked it up, like, I think that's usually the clear signs of some, like, when you go and put something in Google Translate and you type in, like, I don't know, like you put something from, like, I say an Eastern dialect like Mandarin or whatever, and then you translate it to English and it hits you with like, wow, in Mandarin they must speak in fucking like proverbs because this is some real big English you're using. It's like, nah, Google Translate just doesn't know how to translate their colloquialisms into ours, so it actually makes sense.
Yeah.
And
that's
how
why
that
they're
kinda
called
came across.
additions and not combos.
Yeah. So that's like some gripes. And the other thing with the plot, and when I think about, because you brought up Lost Odyssey, Tony, is that Lost Odyssey, aside from having the timed hits, a big thing about that game and why that game, if you haven't played it and you like JRPGs, you have to play that.
That's
and
just good.
if you have an Xbox, you could
I've never
backwards
played it.
compatible.
You need to play it.
It's
That should
JRPG.
be. That might need to be the next game. Well, not the next one, but something.
I already know what the next game is.
Yeah,
okay.
It'll be convenient
which-
for all of us, trust me.
Yeah, I definitely don't have to fucking play it. So,
shit.
Lost Odyssey is, and I played it recently enough, so not all the way through, but played it recently enough to get a refresher. So this is not just like, oh hey, as I remember it being. Not only is it, the combat has the time thing, but that's an optional thing that like not even every character will have, and it's just something that does a little more damage, whatever. Also, the plot is mature.
Very.
Like, the plot is mature. They have, aside from the story itself, you also have like things in the game where you randomly you'll interact with a thing and it'll just conjure up this like not conjure up, but it'll bring up essentially this long passages of text with some like the screen will kind of fade into this white background or something like that, and it'll just be a long thing of text. No voice acting, no like that. The writing's really, really fucking good. Like the first one that you run into, you're reading, you're like, okay. You know, it's like sad, but it's like the writing's really good. So, and I get once again product of his time. Okay, I'm gonna just say that. But when I was going through the plot of this, I'm just like, and probably once again a victim of bad translation. But when the cutscenes would play, I'm just like, hey man, what are these idiots gonna say this time? Let's find out. Like, I also torn in between whether or not that Lavitz like looked up to the guy that was his friend's dad, or he wanted to fuck him based on the way he was talking. It was so weird.
Yeah,
when you fight the dragon.
I just got friend. I just got friend energy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh no! I know what you're talking about. The guy. I know. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Lavitz and Albert, not Lavitz and his father's best friend.
Yeah, his father's
it was
best
like
friend,
the what's the one, shoot, marry, kill, or no, marry, fuck, marry, kill, whatever like that. And they're like, what do you want to do then? He's like, oh, yes, and that's it. He couldn't pick one.
You were the chosen one.
Like that's, and once again, I'm just trying to give benefit of the doubt, but the fact of the matter is I can only speak to what I experienced, right?
Yeah.
So that, like I can't play a nostalgia card of myself regarding this game because I experienced it for the first time.
No. I agree. Everything that you said, I like the game for what it was. Maybe if I tried to do it again, I'd probably agree. Like I probably wouldn't finish. No, I mean finishing it like fully through.
Okay.
Like doing
the
whole 9 yards.
Yeah, the whole 9 yards. I agree when Fist brought it up the way he did. Like, it always helps to have an outside opinion on it. But when he said that for the first time, him playing it now, it is long-winded. Yeah. It is. It's a long-winded game. I liked it for what the combat was. But now that you have other games that can do shit like that.
Once again, I'm going to say, at the time, there were still better example. Final Fantasy VII.
I get that. But Final Fantasy VII didn't have the combat the way it didn't have the combo. Not the additions and stuff. And that's what I liked about games like that. Like, granted, that may be just me talking with that whole, okay, well, I like that type of game.
If you like it, you like it. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, but I like that game for what it was. Now, does it compete with anything today? No, absolutely not.
I would still argue it doesn't compete with shit back then.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying, on a JRPG, I'm not talking about specifically timed hits, because even though I want to talk about timed hits, I will bring up Paper Mario, Super Mario RPG. I think those games were
good. Those were
better.
Really good. Yeah, but you also have to realize what game like those. No,
I mean they're not a conventional JRPG,
right?
In terms of like the way the plot's structured and all that kind of stuff. But functionally, they are still a JRPG. JRPG comes in a bunch of different flavors. Right. So when I think about like timed hit thing, at that same time period, Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario are the two ones that come.
And I would have to say I'll play Paper Mario before I play Legend of Dragoon. I play Paper Mario. Yeah, shorter too.
But I mean, it's also like, are you looking for a JRPG that has timed hit combos, or are you looking for a JRPG that looks like Paper Mario versus a medieval? Fantasy,
it wasn't even really about looks.
Yeah,
it wasn't really about looks, but I give it.
That's the different flavors.
Yeah,
that's the different flavors.
It's a whole package type thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we touched on a good bit with that. The story, the gameplay.
Oh well, we didn't talk about the way fucking turns work.
All right. So
also terrible.
Okay.
Just saying.
So everybody has a speed stat. Dart slow as fuck.
Fastest one is Maru, I believe, with dancer shoes.
Yes,
yeah, Maru.
So, all right. So, from what I understand, the way this works is your stat doesn't tell you how fast you go.
And see, this is something that the game did not touch on. Again,
I figured it out. I
yeah.
figured out while I was playing. I was just like, because Smart Snarfire were talking about it, I was like, does it work like this? Or like, yo, what the hell does it work? He brings it up. I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that sounds about right.
So
keep going.
there's no fixed turn order based on your speed. It's all random. It's all random. So like your first turn order, it's going to be like enemy you. Next turn order could be you enemy again. And
that
then
happens. That happens.
So
that happens. It's essentially pinging, right? Like that's what it's doing. It's like
just,
random roll.
Yeah. So
see, I know it's definitely random roll when Dole gets to go like 3 times in
Dole
a fucking
gets to
row.
go 3
waste
times.
3 minutes.
I'm like, bro, you just did this attack on me. How are you going again? Like, why is it not my turn yet?
Yeah, it's very nonsensical, but it's like the way the game works. Everything is planned out for like 3 turns. Not even just in combat, but out of combat too. So depending on where you are, whatever enemy spawns in that area, if you hit the rewind button, you're always going to get that enemy no matter what because it's already pre-planned.
I wonder how you figure that one out.
So you hit the rewind button. So there's a farm that I did. I took a day out of my progression of the game to farm gold so I can get those super items, right? So there's this enemy that spawns. He's really hard to hit. You miss him a lot, and he has
the bird.
Huh?
Talking about that fucking bird.
It's the same enemy like the bird. It's the robot though.
The robot. The
robot.
robot can't combat. The motherfucker hits you with that lightning bolt and you'll die.
Another translation like can't combat instead of what? Unconscious.
Instead of dead or died or death or whatever.
So you farm him and he drops like 600 golds, and you farm him like 10 times, you can get the ultimate item. So I'm in the area where he spawns. He spawns on a stretch of the map. So I'm going back and forth. I get him. He instantly does the can't attack move, right? And kills and runs away. So I hit the rewind button and I say, all right, it'll be different this time. I go back and forth. He comes back, same person, hits the can attack, kills a person, runs away. Back, I hit the rewind, do it, and he just keeps on doing the same exact thing until I step out of the area, trigger another enemy, come back, and then he has a different. So everything is pre-planned. Everything. So not even just in combat. It's the enemy you're going to get. It's what he's going to do on his first 3 moves. And then it might change. I went through the whole boss fight. The pirate Wingley lady that is she's impersonating a princess. That is the first time I died. This run through. She beat the shit out of me. And I rewound and there was no way to win that with the items I had because
you're talking about the wing-lad chick at the castle?
Yeah, the one that is in love with Lloyd.
Right. She kicked my ass a lot.
Yeah, she kicked my ass, but I couldn't do anything because her preset order of moves for whatever instance I was in always killed me in 3 turns. I didn't have time to heal. I didn't have time to guard because she went again, and then the turn order switched, and she went twice in a row. So she would go 4 times in a row, hit me with 4 waves, and I'd be dead. And there was no way for me to do it.
All right.
Yeah. So that's the way turn order works.
Yeah, and the thing going back on how I feel like strategizing is not as much a thing as isn't like in other JRPGs is because like I'm not even like, for example, Final Fantasy X, you can actually see the turn order. I'm going to exclude that one from the conversation because that's like information that this game definitely does not give you. But because the way the turn order system, however how it works, it doesn't feel like you can plan in the same way that you could in the way typical JRPGs go. Like if you take, once again, Final Fantasy VII, I really hate 8, but 9. If you take Final Fantasy 9, it has that active time battle gauge, ATB gauge.
Right.
So everything's always moving, and and Legend of Dragoon doesn't have that. It has the when it's your
Turn-based.
turn, everything stops. Yeah, it's just full turn base. I prefer that style, just to be
Same.
clear. But even with this active time battle gauge, you still know when the boss is going, when the enemies are going. You once you do enough, you get a feel for it. You know how it's going to work.
Yeah.
You plan, you strategize that way. And once again, because of the way Dragoon was, I felt like I didn't know when the boss was going to go again or when the enemy was going to go again. So I would just fall back on all right, let's just block until they do something. And then once they do the thing.
It's actually a smart move, though. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. Like Snarf told me about the items, right? Oh, hey, the items fuck things up. And now this is a me thing, right? And I get this.
We don't use items. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I don't know, I don't inherently have a problem with using items. It's just do I really need to? Because I don't want to. The problem is I always have that
Hoarder mentality.
Yeah. It's what if I it's hoarder, not only is it hoarder mentality, but the problem is just okay, if I need this item to beat this thing, or if I always gotta have this thing, what happens when I don't? Am I just fucked? Is that how this goes?
You're more fucked than you would have been.
Yeah. That's why I don't use items. For Dark Souls, Elden Ring, those games, the perfect example.
For this game specifically,
I use potions. I'm not that fucking stubborn.
It's for this game specifically, this is one of the only games where I can think off the top of my head where items is a viable tactic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. It's you can choose to spec into item stuff, and they're cheap enough where you can buy them. There's no crafting system, but you can buy them. They're cheap enough, and you can use them constantly. And you can spec your group because different group members use items differently. I think Shoshana definitely is OP with items. I think the next one would be Rose. And then after that is Meru. Yeah. So you want a combination of those three in your party if you're going to go for an item run, which is they throw magic items. But you can also not do that and go straight Dart, Lavitz, and Rose.
Special or something? Or Rose?
Don't use Kongle. You unlock Kongle as a character eventually. Never use Kongle. There's no reason to ever use Kongle. Wait. He does not do enough damage, and he does not. He tanks shit, I guess, but also he's susceptible to everything.
Kongo is very susceptible to magic damage. Physical damage, he doesn't take as much as other characters.
He got that I don't give a shit face on.
Kongo is the trashiest character ever invented in my life. As far as gameplay goes,
I can see that. The only reason I say that is I've played with every character and beat the game with every character thus far now. I would have to say my easiest run was having him in the party. Okay. Having him in the party, especially for if, and it really depends. You know what? I can't say that. It depends on who you have in that 2-person, because you can never switch out Dart, which is so fucking stupid. But I'm gonna let that slide. But you can never switch out Dart, which I don't like. But other than that, I play with every character. I feel like the most useless one, even though she's strong as fuck if you spec her correctly, is Shanna or Miranda. She can be a powerhouse if you spec her magic wise to do damage, but as far as just physical damage, she fucking sucks.
I would say it's easier to spec Shanna to do a stupid amount of damage than it is to spec Kongle to be okay.
No, I mean you say that, right? But if you put the angel scarf on solid, he no longer takes as much magic damage. The magic damage is halved if you put an angel scarf on.
I would say
all his magic damage is halved.
For the absolutely. He is resistant to physical, and you put the angel scarf on, and he takes half as much. That's great. You're prolonging damage.
inevitable.
You're prolonging fights because he doesn't put out as much damage as other people will. And he's tanking things. If they, you could use the reusable item so he does tank.
Did you?
3 hits.
Did you get his addition all the way to the end? His third one?
I played as him a long time ago. So I remember I used Kongal like my first 2 playthroughs. And then I discovered, I actually used Meru. And I was like, oh, well, Kongal's
Meru's strong. Like, so here's the thing. When I looked at because I don't know, I love the game so much. I went out and got the little strategy book for it a long time ago when I was a kid. And if you look at Kongal's like additions, his last edition says it does 300 damage, right? Meru's last edition, if you level it all the way up, does 600. So does Albert, right? The difference though is in their base stats. So Meru's base stat and Albert's base stat is low. So they're not gonna get as much damage off, even though Kongal's base stat is so fucking high for his physical damage that's why his addition is capped at 300 fucking whatever it is damage, 300% or some shit that it says there. So if you level him up, this man can one tap enemies. Just if he does the whole full edition. If you don't do the whole last full edition, it's not gonna happen. But I agree with you. But one thing I will say, and I noticed was a godsend, is Albert. Albert is a godsend. Awesome. Albert is low key one of the best characters in the game, just off of his ability to. You go into Dragoon for 1 turn, and you use his Rose Storm.
Yeah, his half thing
to half damage everything that comes at you. It doesn't matter if it's magic, physical, whatever. It's all half damage.
Yeah.
So he's a godsend. Heyshu is it's just pure damage, but he's not as strong as...
I found out why Heyshu is so crazy. Because like I knew there was elements, so I thought there, I knew there was like counter. I could understand that since I was a kid. I understood how the elements work. I didn't understand thunder has no resistances. So it's just it can punch through everything evenly. So it doesn't do like double damage to anything else, but it also doesn't get half damage by anything else. And that's why Heyshu, all of his attacks just go through everything. So that, he's just good to have.
Yeah, I just use them because of the 2 punches, so they would always work. That's really it.
Flurry of blows.
No, flurry of sticks.
Flurry of sticks.
Flurry of sticks.
Which once again,
I was
fairy of sticks.
This is an aside, but I was researching, stuff around Legend of Dragoon to prepare for this. I saw an interview. They're doing like a podcast interview. It was like, oh, this is the voice actor for Dart. And I was like, you know what? That's crazy. Yeah, this will be really interesting. And then like 5 minutes in, I was like,
what was going through your mind when you said volcano?
Volcano. Yeah, it's like, why do I give a shit about the voice acting in this game?
It said yell the word volcano. So I yelled the word volcano.
So I turned off the interview. It probably was very good. It probably added great context to the game, but it's like, why? I don't know. There's barely any voice acting in the game. So I don't understand.
Yeah, it's not like the voice acting is also like. I'd be very surprised if voice acting is the reason why you play the game. Like, yeah, say volcano again. Come on.
I mean, how many? Even our friends that never played the game and just watch us, all they do while we're playing is volcano. Every time you do the volcano combo, you hear these other fucking goons in the Discord. They're like, volcano.
Is that one and
burning?
Oh, what is it? That one, it's either volcano or I think harpoon is my favorite.
Harpoon. But when Lavitz says it, not when Calbert says it.
Yeah.
He just says harpoon. You definitely lose some machismo when Albert gets in, but he's definitely cool.
All right.
I think the only thing to talk about is that I have left that I want to talk about is the secret boss.
Go for it.
So there's these items in the game, collectibles. There's like 50 of them. I forget how many there are exactly. They're called Stardusts. Stardust, you find this NPC that's trying to collect all the Stardust in the world so she can make a wish. You find out you collect all the Stardust and she makes a wish that her daughter has a happy... Oh, God.
Because her daughter's sick, so she was trying to make sure that she can heal her. If you collect all the Stardust, you get a wish.
Yeah, and so she's trying to heal her daughter. But the wish she make, like, this may be me being a dumbass, but her wish was, I hope my daughter has a happy childhood. And then the daughter gets up and says, but I'm already happy because I'm with you. And like,
You just wasted your wish.
yeah, it's insinuated. It's insinuated that she's cured because she gets out of a fucking coma and she goes, "I'm here with you." So I'm like, but like the dickhead side of me is like, you just waste your wish.
He did.
Why not just wish for a cure?
Exactly.
That's like so blatantly.
Yeah. So she's cured definitely, but like in my head canon, she's dead.
Oh, and for everybody out there that doesn't know, you're fool. For everybody out there that doesn't know, every RPG has off the beaten path item that you need to collect a certain amount of, and then you'll get something very special or bonuses throughout the game. It's the same way that this game does it, but it does it in a stupid way because in this game, look, Solid's raising the fist right now, and I agree. With him.
What is this? This is the Clinton. This is the
Arthur?
Clinton.
Oh.
It's like I did not
But
have
in this
sexual
game-
relations with that video game.
I think the most idiotic thing that they could have done, in order to find Stardust in this game, you have to go up to every fucking thing and hit the X button in order to try to inspect it.
There is no cue to where these
There is
things
nothing.
are.
There's
They are
nothing to tell you where they are.
invisible on the
Yes.
backdrop.
So you don't know. It's not like, oh, wherever you see running water, go and hit the X button to see if you might find some Stardust. It's, hey, look at that random bed there in the background. I wonder if I go towards it and I hit the X button, I'll find something.
Bro.
Random. It gives you no inclination of where you found the Stardust. Had I not looked it up, I would not know where to find the Stardust. It's fucking painfully stupid.
As a kid, I found all the Stardust. A kid, I found all the fucking Stardust. Didn't have a guide for it.
Is there a guide to have for it?
Yes.
There was they used to have the strategy guides.
No. Well, I was saying, would a guide help you in this situation?
Yeah.
Yes.
It tells you exactly where
everything is.
Oh. So okay. So the way it sounded was like they like in every playthrough they're in random spots.
No.
Oh, okay.
They're always in the same spot, but it's like there's no cue to where they are. So it's like
Gotcha.
if it's here,
never showed.
it doesn't sparkle, doesn't do
okay.
nothing. This run, I was like going off of memory, and then when I got to like the end of disc 3, right, is where you can find all of them. Disc 3, 4. I was at the point where it's like, oh, I'm supposed to hand all these in. Shit, I forgot what I was missing, so I had to go back through the guide and go through all the shit, and I was like, oh no, it was a bad run. But when you find all the Stardust, this lady says, hey, I have this item. I think it'll help you on your journey. Gives it to you. On the final section, you go to where the original war took place, and you find this hologram. He says, hey, you shall not pass, motherfucker. This is my place. The ring that she gives you randomly turns off the hologram so you can progress further, and then there's like this big maze. for the scientist called Faust during the Wingly Army, who's evil, of course.
One of their best mages of their time.
Yeah, one of the best mages of their time. He's apparently still alive and has been down here 11,000 years building an army. So he is bullshit. He's a bitch. His mom's a bitch.
He's the equivalent. He's the equivalent of what Melania is without the cheesy shit that she does.
Cheesy.
I haven't played it, but if it's a JRPG secret boss, pretty much the goal of those is to be as corny as humanly possible.
Okay, yeah, it's corny. It's very much corny. This motherfucker does Okay, so imagine for a second, right? You remember with the Dole fight, the motherfucker can do have multiple turns of hitting you, right?
Yeah.
Cool, but at least in those multiple turns of hitting you, you have at least enough time to, throw out a healing rain or a healing breeze, and heal 3 people at one time, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a lowered health, whatever. Imagine someone casting a spell that hits all 3 of you, takes you from white to yellow, and you know what I mean when I say from white to yellow. All your characters are bending the knee.
Yeah.
And then proceeds to do another spell right after it that hits everyone again and wipes you out. If you don't block or defend, or for that matter, if you don't heal immediately or go in there with these are one of these fights where you remember your equipment really didn't matter up until now.
You
need something that
matters.
You need something that is going to block at least half of magic damage, because that is all this motherfucker does and he doesn't do one hit. Well, he does, but it's rare for him to hit one person. He usually aims for everyone.
I said earlier I was farming money to get a secret, the ultimate item. I've seen people beat him without those ultimate items, but those items I think are specifically made for the Faust fight, because there's no way I'm surviving. My layman mind is surviving the first 3 moves that he does without those things, because it halves. All he does is magic attack.
That's it.
He again, he does move after move. He might hit you 3 times in a row.
He might.
The items that I got have magic damage, and there's another accessory that also does the same thing. So you quarter magic damage, and he's still a fucking problem. Complete. What? Yeah, I said before, the final boss, Melbu. He's not him. I was referring to Faust, because Faust is him.
Is him.
Yeah,
he is him.
And it's just it's a side thing. It's such a side thing. It's the most side thing.
I mean, that's the point. JRPGs, and where I draw the line between this and something like Millennia, I'm just saying. But in JRPGs, usually these insane bosses are often, I mean, maybe not in this case, but no, actually probably in this case, if you did it the all natural way back in the day, we're talking about bosses where you are literally doubling the amount of time, if not more than that you spent just to beat the game, just to either get to the guy or actually beat the guy. Yeah. Because Final Fantasy X, if you want to fight, what was it? Oh my God, I can't. Nemesis. If you want to fight Nemesis, who's the super duper, in the original version that came out in NA, that was the hardest boss in the game. And if you want to do that, you had to fucking capture 10 of each monster in the game, which is the monster arena shit. You had to capture 10 of each monster, and then you also had to kill every single special arena monster, which they were all super bosses. So it's it's just, if that guy's corny as fuck and has this ridiculous shit, I'm yeah, that sounds about right. that sounds like JRPG shit.
Yeah. He's a problem. Yeah, that's all I got to say.
But you did it.
Oh, the ending. Rose
Congrats.
and your dad die. That's it. We forgot to tell you about that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, where can they find it? No, I don't know.
No,
well,
all
I
right.
guess-
So all right. After all of that, after all of this, Tony, what's your take on the game?
Like having somebody throw some bad shit in your face. Like,
This is an intervention. This is an
this
intervention
fucking sucks.
for you and me.
It is an intervention at this point. I think I have nostalgia goggles on. I'm man enough to fuck you, Fist. I'm man enough to say like when I'm wrong. Like at the end of the day, like I think I have nostalgia goggles on. I still like the game for what it is. I'm not saying that it's. I'm not saying that it is the greatest game thing since sliced bread, because it's not. Are there better games? Of course. There are better games than the Legend of Dragoon. I have to ask before Fist, had you not had the input lag, etc., and you had enough time to go into it without.
I had time.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the bullshit that was going on in the game, like the input lag. If there was a way to like cut out the.
I probably would have been it. I probably could have potentially been it if there. But the thing is that, like, I mean, you're borderline talking about a different game at that point.
No, it's the same game. It's just being able to cut past. Like, for instance, we've played games where you're like, "Yo, why can't I fucking skip the cutscene? This fucking sucks."
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
so, and imagine for a second you just lost to a boss and it's a fucking 2-minute cutscene. Like, and you can't skip it. Like, you got to go back and do it again. I get that. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? If they took that out, would you have enjoyed the game more?
So, if you no input lag, and you get rid of all the intros aside from bosses. I don't know why I have to put that caveat in there, but whatever. Or why you have to mention that. But anyway, you get rid of the intro cutscenes for every fight. You get rid of overly long attack animations, and so you get rid of those things. And I play it, I would say it goes from being something that I can't even get myself to finish to something that just be all right. Because the way the combat works does not change. The turn order being something that you can't really strategize around doesn't change. I don't think we didn't really talk about, I don't know if there's really much to talk about in terms of like exploring, but like that's just kind of whatever. But the story, when I was paying attention to it, I was paying attention to it. Well, when I was going through it, it was just seemed like standard fare. And so I felt, at least personally for the way that I was playing, that the combat was really just hitting the attack button over and over and over again, except with input lag. That was me. That's how I felt about it. So I felt like even if you take all that stuff out, I think it'd go from being like, in my opinion, trash to fucking like, or I would say trash, but I think the game's just, personally, I would say not good, but it goes from that to being all right. I still wouldn't put it nowhere near the same level as, once again, something like Final Fantasy 9. I'm going to speak highly of Chrono Trigger, even though I haven't played it, but everyone seems to love it. Something like that. I'm trying to pick games that came out either before it or around the same time. Final Fantasy 7. I don't know. Final Fantasy 6. I know I keep labeling Final Fantasy. It's fucking Pokemon. Paper Mario, Super Mario RPG, like all those games. I would still put those, even if you got rid of all that shit that I don't like about this game, those games would still be like way above it, in my opinion.
Gotcha. How you feel, Solid?
I will say, so I might have played this game in full maybe 4 or 5 times ever, right?
Okay.
About 8 years ago, I played on an emulator, and I would say that was the best experience that I had because I put everything at 2 times speed. Everything. Like I zoom past all that bullshit that you don't like.
Yeah.
I would say that's the optimal way to play. The PS5 version is I thoroughly enjoyed my playthrough. That might be nostalgia. I think that's nostalgia. I'm happy to play. I'm happy to play the game again. I had fun going through it. I definitely was like, definitely sometimes where it was like, you motherfuckers, right? Just for the way the game was playing. But I definitely 100% enjoyed playing through this time. I don't think I will ever play this game again.
Ever.
On PS5. On PS5.
Okay.
Emulator?
Yeah.
Emulator, maybe. Yeah, emulator, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. And the thing is, like, talking about getting rid of stuff or just like the emulator, it's like you can talk about the game that it could be, but I mean,
it's a game that you could actually have on the emulator. So I'm saying,
yeah.
It's like, would you rather play? I like Legend of Zelda, whatever that one is, whatever just came out.
It's the fucking Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom, phenomenal game. Like it's a 10 out of 10 game, right? Majority of people believe so, and I also believe so. But you could emulate it on PC. You can get rid of all the stutter. You can get it running at 60, and you can fix some motion control bullshit. Like I still think that's viable to bring up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you could, but I don't think you could really. I mean, you can obviously talk about it, but I think talking about it in a way that like not colors your opinion, but like, oh, hey, the game's great if you insert things that you should never have to do to just make a game good.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like I should like. If you're going to talk about a game, you talk about the game that they released.
Yeah. And I like the story.
Like, say for Skyrim.
Yeah.
Skyrim, you can't talk about like, oh yeah, once you put in like 87 mods, it's awesome because that's where I'm at with Skyrim. And I genuinely like Skyrim as is. But if you were going to talk about Skyrim and you talk about how awesome it is, or like, hey, is Skyrim a great game? Well, is Skyrim a great game? We're not talking about mods. We're talking about Skyrim. You can say, oh, hey, mods are inherently part of Skyrim. That's not what they put out, bro. Right. We're talking about the game Bethesda put out.
I like
people put on top
the main thing I like about the game. I like the story, and I like the characters. That for me, any game, mostly any game. If your gameplay is not good, I will probably still play it if you have a good story and relatable characters. For me to get to that point, to like if that's what I really like about the game, playing on an emulator only enhances that part. You know what I'm saying? It's like it cuts the bullshit out or minimalizes the bullshit and gets me to the part of the game that I do like. So that's just my 10 cents.
Gotcha. Cool. So is there anything else? Any last thoughts on the game, or is that wrapping it up?
It's wrapping it up for me.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Tell us what you think about Legend of Dragoon.
In the comments below.
Don't come to our house. And where can they find you, Tony?
HeyyyyyTony, 5 Wides in the Hey at on Twitch. Yeah,
nice.
Twitch. No more YouTube. I'm chilling.
Where can they find you, Fist?
Here, Fist, also on FistTruck TV, where we currently got a playthrough of Kingdom Hearts going up.
Oh yeah.
And fucking Rogue Warrior. And FistTruck, my TV, my channel. Sorry, FistTruck.
Yeah.
Full stop. You recently passed fucking 10,000 subs, which is cool.
Awesome.
So
yeah. Woo. And Snarf, where can they find you?
Here, and FistTruck TV. All right. Thank you all for stopping by. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.